that way.
Hello YouTube and welcome back to Cover 2 Credits. Today we are going to do a review of the new Netflix original Daredevil. Now, as you may or may not know, Netflix bought the rights from Disney to get, 6 shows?
I'm not sure
Miss
how
Marvel, Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and the Defenders.
Yep. There's a handful.
Anyway, so they're doing a bunch of stuff. It's all going to be in the Marvel Universe, all going to be tied together with all the Avengers and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all of that stuff. All the same universe. But like I said, Netflix had just released their 13 episodes, season 1 of Daredevil. I'm guessing there's going to be season 2. It seems to be getting rave reviews from pretty much everybody involved. Of Daredevil last Friday.
It's been up for...
I believe it was last Thursday or Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was last Friday. But either way, they released it. Like I said, 13 episodes, and initial reaction, it's top tier.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I binge watched all of it between Friday and Saturday. I saw all 13 episodes, and it starts off as excellent and becomes more excellent as time goes on. Basically, brief plot synopsis. You've got the main character, Matt Murdock, is lawyer / vigilante Daredevil. He runs a crappy law office with his college buddy, Foggy Nelson. They have no clients. They live in crappy apartments. They have a crappy office. And it pretty much takes it from there. And it basically covers the story of how, when he started fighting crime, and it moves from him like being in the shadows, and the series covers basically the time from where he is just Matt Murdock to becoming Daredevil. And like I said, it is very well done from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets better as time goes on. Stan. Initial reactions.
I liked it a lot. I thought it was going to be interesting to see how they would do some of the origin stuff, like how he becomes blind and things like that. If you know the story, you know that's not the same time period as the beginning of everything with him being Daredevil. If you've seen the old the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie, they get into that a little bit, whether you like that movie or not, it's besides the point. I thought it was really good the way they do the kind of back and forth with his childhood.
Yeah, that's one of the things with origin stories that get a little...
It can get dicey, very.
It gets very dicey. Is when you're running, you've got your childhood, and then you've got the adolescent years, and then you're trying to, like, now he's the actual superhero. And origin stories never really do a good job with that. This one, they mostly just skip all of it. You get about a 60-second blurb of him losing his eyesight when he's young, and his dad freaking out, and then they're done with it. You never see it again.
But you do see him as a child again.
Yeah, and then, but they work flashbacks to important events of his childhood within the series, and they tie them together where one thing has to do with other things, or he's during a fight scene, and his dad's giving him like these pointers as he's a child and telling him this is the man he needs to become, like while he's like knocked out and like gathering his strength. And it's a very, very cool, well done thing to me.
Yeah.
And it bypasses a lot of the issues with origin stories.
Yeah, it's a lot of times. Sometimes those flashbacks can take you out of what's going on very, very easily. These don't do that. These are like, the underlying tone is, this is still going on now, and this is a memory, but it's quick and it's right back in.
Yeah, and like I said, the feeling of the flashbacks ties together with what's going on, and that is a very cool thing.
Definitely.
That I think is missed a lot of times.
Whether you're learning
flashbacks,
whether you're learning about his father, or you're seeing other things of that nature like that, and it's all tied in very well. It does it very, very well. I like that a lot. The acting is very good.
Yeah, let's do characters.
All right.
So, You know more names than I do.
Well, I mean, obviously, you go through the main three of Murdoch, who plays a blind guy very well, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And does both sides, the attorney and the fighting, excellently.
Yeah, you can see the duality of him as the lawyer, and him as
Daredevil.
Daredevil, and as Daredevil, he's not a particularly nice person.
No, not at all.
He's a good guy, but he's not really a nice guy. He is very much on the chaotic good side of the world.
Yes.
Using D&D terms.
The chaotic good, I like that.
But he's very willing to do bad things for the right reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And you see lawyer him, who's sort of a charming smartass, who's always got the ladies, and who's always, smoozing it up for everyone. But he's also got this like hard backbone, so you can there's two sides, but you can see how they can coexist.
Yeah.
And I think it does a good job with that.
I agree.
Then you have the resident comic relief Foggy Nelson, who is
best one-liners in the show.
He is very, very witty, and he's funny, and he performs the comedic relief character like aces. It's good, and you can see the friendship both developing, and then later on in the series, which I don't Stairs hasn't got to see yet, but he will get there. You can see where friction starts occurring as they start wondering what's going on with Matt, and why is he always beat up all the time, and why do these things always happen. And you can see that their closeness is what, like them being really good friends, is what causes a lot of that friction later on in the series, and that is very well done. The main other big character is the dude from Law and Order, plays Kingpin.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
And his acting as Kingpin is A+, spot on. He creates this character who is the epitome of evil. However, you can see the lines of logic that he's taken that have led him to where he wants to be. Because he really is, in his heart of hearts, believes that he's doing the right thing. And it combines that with this character, and he's the evil Kingpin, and he's ripping people's heads off and having people assassinated. But at the same time, he's this awkward fat guy who's trying to fall in love with this cute girl, and he's trying to court her, and this is going on at the same time where he's, like crushing people's heads off with car doors. And it's this very interesting duality of this guy who is obviously the bad guy, but he's, like I said, he is falling in love, and he is trying to actually make Hell's Kitchen a better place in his own twisted way. And it does, he nails it. One of the best villains, we're talking level of Heath Ledger in Dark Knight good. He's that good. Maybe not quite that good, but you're looking at,
it's different, yeah.
It's good acting, and that, like I said, having a great villain makes for great comic book TV shows.
Yeah.
And this, like I said, this has it in spades.
He's been good in anything he's been in. I mean, Law and Order, he's an excellent actor, and he's very, very good. To me, another whole character of this movie is the action. It's very, very good.
Yeah, that's what we're going to hit next. The fight scenes. Now, these aren't your Avengers fight scenes.
No.
It is the same universe, but it is a very, very different
side of it, yeah.
It's a very different side of it. You go from the Avengers high flying in the Empire State Building, where everything's happy-go-lucky, and you've got all these crazy superpowers flying around, and everyone's launching these cheesy one-liners between punches, and that's one side of Marvel. But then you've got the street-level dudes like Daredevil, who are down in the thick of it, and where it's ugly, and the lines between good and evil are much more gray. And you've got Daredevil, who during the opening scene, in his first fight scene, is just laying into a dude, punching him in the face like 20 or 30 times for just enraged. And like I said, it's and as the show progresses, you see him battling with himself between where that line is between what is taking it too far, and he doesn't know where that's at, and he spends a lot of the first season trying to find that within himself. Yes, I'm going out and I'm doing these bad things for good reasons, but when does it become too far? And he struggles with that throughout the first series, and you can see that struggle from him and how it's impacting the characters around him. And like I said, it is excellent stuff all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, Daredevil is definitely one of the grittier characters. When you've got with like the Avengers is the clean cut kind of.
Yeah, and you compare that with like the old Daredevil stuff we've seen, where it's wild and it's over the top and it's comedy, and this is none of that. This is the
gritty,
deep, dark stuff.
Dark.
Like I said, it's much more Christopher Nolan than it is
really
Joss Whedon.
Yeah, it reminds you a lot more of like a Dark Knight scenario. How dark and just the city's on top of you all the time, things like that. It's just it's done very well. It's done very well, and the environments are always just.
Yeah, that's one thing they miss with a lot of these characters is
the realness.
You see comic book novels, but all the comic books aren't always happy all the time.
No.
And a lot of these, like you said, you would call them street level guys, like the guys who don't have the awesome ultimate superpowers, who are just down in the gritty, fighting muggers and rapists, like the crap the real superheroes don't bother with. Well, they are here and they see it, and that grittiness is part of their world and part of their character. And if you don't put that in a good way, you lose a lot of what really makes it a great character. And like I said, this captures all of that, which usually gets missed.
Yeah. I mean, Avengers have tried in the movies, whether it was Stark dealing with PTSD and depression after Avengers, or just some of them, they've tried a little bit to get kind of the more realistic side of things. But those characters are already so kind of pristine and like the higher echelon that they're not going to drag anybody through the mud, and they're not going to kind of push anybody off that ledge, you know what I mean? And Daredevil, especially any time with the character, he's never been, yes, he's well known, but he's never been that like super high upper echelon character, at least to me. He's always kind of been that gritty, ground level, like just gonna throw punches, And I know some of the character, he's got other gadgets and things, but he's known for the acrobatics and the fighting and things like that, and they do that very well.
Yeah, the fight scenes, like I said, it looks like a real fight between people. Like everyone is always bleeding and everyone's tired, and you can see him like trying to work up the muster to throw one more punch.
Exactly.
And it just has all the fight scenes have that like great feeling to it. And the hallway fight scene in the second episode is one of the best fight scenes I have ever seen in anything. The camera work is amazing.
It's almost the
show.
lack of camera work.
Yeah, it is really a complete lack of camera work, because they just leave the camera fixed, looking down the
It's
hallway.
a single camera shot, and a lot's going on.
And they don't follow it around. Nope. You don't get any of the crazy like spinning crap. They just show the fight with the camera still, and like they don't move around, they don't chase him, and you can see
it's awesome.
Like I said, and it is great, great stuff. Really good. And the fighting is great, and that whole scene is just. That's A+ 100%. That's full marks, and I hardly ever give full marks for it. That scene definitely gets full marks.
Really awesome.
All right, I think we've rambled long enough.
Overall
rating.
You've seen it all, the whole first season.
I have seen it all.
What do you think?
I would give it a 9.
Yeah, I mean, right now I've only seen the first 2 episodes, and it's right there.
It's not perfect. It has a few moments where it loses it. There are some things that go on where you have to suspend disbelief, which isn't uncommon for comics.
It's Marvel.
But you notice it more in this series because the rest of it is so actual realistic. And so those moments where you have to go, that's really just a thing. Those moments stick out a lot more than they do in a movie like Avengers, where that's happening every 2 seconds.
Well, speaking of Avengers, when the movie started, or the show started, I didn't think about what was going on, or that I forgot that this is tied with Avengers. I know it's Marvel, but I didn't think about it. So when they reference, and this is no spoilers, when they reference like when the hell rained down from the heavens, I didn't think, like, what are they talking about? Are they going to reference that? Are they going to reference that? Then it hit me. All of this is taking place after the Avengers, so this is where, when half the city got destroyed, this is who had to deal with it.
Yeah, and I mean, that's actually one of the main ties into the series, is because the
rebuilding.
main bad guy, Kingpin, who is, spoiler alert, if you didn't know who the bad guy was in this, it's Kingpin. The way he rises to power is getting all of the grant contracts to rebuild all of New York that was destroyed after Avengers.
The T'Challa
So that's after they wipe out half the city. You know, Kingpin is the guy that rises to power on the construction dollars that are being spent to rebuild New York. And so that all ties in rather nicely.
which is a perfect tie.
They don't go to it, they talk about it indirectly.
Yeah.
They never come out and say it, oh well this is, but they mention it indirectly, and like, oh well, you know. And when like they first hear about Daredevil, the guy makes the comment, well, he's like, well, there's a guy in the mask shows up who beat up all of our guys, and he goes, good. And every time someone in a mask punches a guy through a wall, our profit margins go up 3%.
Exactly.
And like I said, so it all ties in, but like I said, they don't go out of their way to make that sort of connection, which I think is a positive, because it stands on its own merits.
I agree.
But the tie-in adds a little spice to it.
Yeah, I like that, because they don't have to make that tie-in. They don't have to. I mean, I know Marvel's running it different than DC, to where Marvel's, at least so far with here, well, no, everything, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., Agent Carter, all of that stuff is tied directly in, where DC is not doing that, at least yet. I don't think they're going to at all. With, obviously, they can't with Flash, because there's a different Flash in the movies, and they never said anything about Arrow yet, so right now they're not connecting, but Marvel's doing the opposite, and they are directly connecting, which means, in theory, you could end up seeing Daredevil in a movie sooner or later.
Yeah, and they have been talking about that. So,
And yeah,
rating.
yeah, I'm right there too. 9. I agree. It's very, very good. Very, very good. I hope to have
It
more.
is excellent.
Yep.
If you do not have Netflix, bum it off one of your buddies, or drop the coin and sign up.
And
They
watch.
have earned their money for this one.
Yeah.
And
Their originals have been hitting it out of the park.
Their originals are excellent.
Yeah.
All of them that I have seen have been top notch. Now, whether that's actually a good business strategy in the long run, or whether it's actually getting them any more subscribers, I do not know. But the programming they are coming out with is great stuff. And Daredevil is great stuff. I cannot wait to see Luke Cage and Iron Fist and all the rest. I think it is going to be excellent. All right, so there you have it. So thanks for tuning in, YouTube.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Suggest anything you think we like to watch. You kind of tell what we watch a lot of anyway. And
thanks for staying until after the credits.